Now, let us look at the pattern of regional, intra-regional investment and how integration has taken place. Normally, when there's integration, you have a surge of investment. The intra-regional investment becomes a significant portion of total investment and is certainly an important in relation to foreign investment. This happened in the EU, it happened in NAFTA, and it happened in Mercosur. So we should expect intra-regional investment to be an important thing. However, the reality is that intra-regional investment in CARICOM has been very, very limited. And what we find is that a few firms are involved and a few sectors. The consolidation of these firms have taken place in tourism, banking, insurance. It's a very limited range of sectors, and there are small number of firms that are involved in it. So on the whole, there hasn't been a transformation of these nano-firms into larger corporate entities which can be more competitive. And the reasons for that are the following. One, the volume of intra-regional trade has been small, and therefore it has not had the effect of inducing the kind of investment which you would have expected to take place. Indeed, intra-regional trade in the last decade has hovered at about 10%. And if the Petro-Carib initiative affects energy exports from Trinidad in the region, which account for about 30 to 40% of intra-regional trade by value, then that figure may even go down. A second reason is persistent barriers to intra-regional trade. I certainly hope that when the single market has its full membership and its full compliance, that we will see an end to what I think are essentially xenophobic barriers, such as national ownership requirements, alien landholding acts, etc., etc. Thirdly, many firms have actually skipped the regional stage, in the sense that the single market took so long to come into being that these firms have moved on to the global stage, and therefore for them the regional market and the regional process is peripheral or secondary. In other words, the largest firms, the firms that have made the transition from nano-firms, have already gone global. Fourth factor would be that some of the opportunities which existed were already preempted by subsidiaries or networks of subsidiaries of multinational corporations. A fifth factor is that to date there is no genuine CARICOM-wide capital market. National capital markets are small, narrow in range of instruments and institutions, and fragmented. The variation in interest rates across the region is a good indication of the absence of a CARICOM-wide capital market. National stock exchanges, which are one ways in which firms could raise money, make the transition, consolidate, enlarge, exist across the region, but the shocking fact is that only 3 of them allow cross-listing, and at the moment there are 10 firms which are cross-listed, and they account for about 5% of the value of the publicly listed companies on the 3 exchanging stock exchanges. Finally, the preoccupation with trade liberalization to the detriment of attention to ensuring the free mobility of capital, I think, is something which at the policy level must bear some responsibility. In concluding, Mr. Chairman, let me say the following. One, I have made this fully aware that there are exceptions to the rule that your prospects are better of surviving if you're a larger corporate entity. I'm aware that there are small firms in areas where, say, economies of scale are not important, where a few people in a back room could be moving billions of dollars. I think these are the exceptions. I am aware too that there's an issue that you don't want to transform national monopolies into regional monopolies to the detriment of efficiency and consumer welfare. But bar those qualifications, on the whole, larger firms have a better prospect of surviving in the global economy. Our firms are nano firms. We haven't created the kind of environment which will allow them to enlarge and therefore have a better chance to be internationally competitive. If our firms cannot attain international competitiveness, the region, the member states and the region as a whole will not be internationally competitive. And as it stands, the single market and economy still has some way to go in terms of creating an environment. But we don't have the luxury of time because globalization is moving apace and external trade negotiations in which we are involved are indeed going to expose us to a much higher level of international competition. So, Mr. Chairman, my concern is we have to give our firms a chance to be internationally competitive, to survive and improve their prospects for international competitiveness. Thank you.
Thank you very much.